Hello, my dear brothers and sisters, and I warmly welcome all of you to a new episode. Before we move forward with today's story, please subscribe to and press the bell icon so that you receive notifications for all my videos. Now let's begin today's story. On August 22nd, 2022, a seemingly ordinary 10-second video clip was recorded on a mobile phone. It showed a couple and appeared to be a normal video at first glance. Sharon and Greeshma had come to the old Marthanda Bridge in Ranakulam, Kerala, for a juice challenge. In the video, Sharon asks Greeshma about the challenge and she smiles and tells him to turn off the camera. But no one could have imagined that behind this innocent smile lay a horrifying conspiracy. A conspiracy so dreadful that the court later classified it as rarest of the rare. It was so terrifying that merely hearing about it could send chills down anyone's spine. On a morning in October 2021, 23-year-old Sharon Raj from Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala, was on a bus when his eyes fell on 22-year-old Greeshma. For a moment, everything seemed to pause. He fell in love with her at first sight. As fate would have it, he got a seat right next to Greeshma. That's where their conversation began, and soon, their meetings turned into love. Sharon was in his final year of a BSc radiology program at Medical Mission Christian College, while Greeshma was pursuing her post-graduation in English literature from Kanyakumari Muslim Arts College, Tamil Nadu. Their love seemed genuine on the surface, but in reality, Greeshma had something else on her mind, a sinister plan. Slowly, she was leading Sharon toward his death. The video recorded on August 22, 2022, was the first step in that horrific conspiracy. Greeshma had invited Sharon to the bridge under the pretense of a juice challenge. Smiling and laughing, she asked him to turn off the camera. And what happened next shocked everyone. This was not just a love story. It was a tale of deception, conspiracy, and death. A story so chilling that it could make anyone's hair stand on end. As time passed, Sharon and Greeshma grew closer. They spent time together, traveled, and became inseparable. For Sharon, Greeshma was his entire world, and he wanted to spend his life with her. But just 4 months later, in February 2022, the situation changed drastically, turning this bus-born love story into a tragic murder case. Sharon had no idea that Greeshma's family had already arranged her marriage with someone else. The most shocking part? Greeshma was happy with the engagement. The man chosen for her was from Nagarcoil and worked in the army. His job was stable, unlike Sharon's. While Sharon dreamed of a future with Greeshma, for her, this was nothing more than a temporary affair, something to pass the time until a better option came along. On March 4th, 2022, Greeshma got engaged, and her wedding was scheduled for the following year. Upon hearing this, Sharon distanced himself and broke up with her. But it was Greeshma who pulled him back into her life. She promised Sharon that she would only marry him and even planned to elope with him in November. Trusting her words, Sharon reconciled with her. But the truth was, Greeshma was busy dreaming of a future with her fiancé. As the wedding date approached, Greeshma desperately wanted to get rid of Sharon, but she knew it wouldn't be easy. So, she came up with an excuse. She told Sharon that, according to her horoscope, her first husband was destined to die. This was a manipulative move to scare Sharon into backing off. But her plan backfired. Sharon dismissed it as superstition and said he would marry her immediately to prove he wasn't afraid. Greeshma tried everything to convince him otherwise, but he refused to back down. Eventually, he took her to a church in Kerala and secretly married her. Greeshma realized that Sharon wouldn't leave her no matter what. But she was no less cunning. She quickly adapted and started behaving like a devoted wife. Whenever she was with Sharon, she would wear sindoor and a Mangal Sutra, symbolizing their marriage. After their church wedding, on August 13th and August 18th, 2022, the couple checked into the Golden Castle Hotel in Thiruvananthapuram, Kanyakumari. They were physically intimate, and Sharon truly believed they were in a committed relationship. But in Greeshma's mind, a new conspiracy was taking shape. What Sharon didn't know was that she had already laced a bottle of mango-flavored juice with 50 crushed paracetamol tablets. If one looks closely at the video, they can see that the cap of the bottle Greeshma handed to Sharon was already opened, while the one she drank from was still sealed. As soon as Sharon took a sip, he drank the juice and immediately felt a strange, bitter taste. He spat out the first sip. Seeing this, Greeshma panicked because she had assumed that the bitterness of the medicine would be masked by the sweet juice. To avoid suspicion, she quickly threw away both bottles, saying that the juice might have gone bad. Just 4 days earlier, she had been physically intimate with Sharon, and now she was determined to take his life. Though her plan failed this time, her intentions remained unchanged. On the evening of October 13, 2022, Greeshma and Sharon had a long conversation. Later, Greeshma called Sharon and they talked for over an hour. During the call, she seduced him with sexual talk, telling him that she would be home alone the next day since her mother and uncle would be leaving in the morning. From the morning of October 14th, Greeshma persistently called and messaged Sharon to ensure he wouldn't change his mind. Finally, at 10:15 a.m., Sharon arrived at Greeshma's house with his friend on a bike. Greeshma had already left the door open, allowing Sharon to walk straight in, while his friend waited outside on the bike. However, Sharon had no idea that he was walking into a deadly trap that Greeshma had cleverly set. After some casual conversation, Greeshma challenged Sharon, saying, "You always make fun of my Ayurvedic drink. Why don't you prove yourself by drinking it today?" Sharon found this challenge amusing, as he often joked about Greeshma's herbal drinks. What he didn't know was that this time it wasn't an ordinary concoction. Greeshma had already laced it with poison. She had even added her mother's knee pain medicine, which she had brought from Gayatri Hospital earlier. Greeshma had thoroughly researched this poison beforehand to ensure there would be no suspicion and that Sharon's death would be certain. Sharon's biggest mistake was accepting the challenge and drinking the entire herbal mixture. It tasted extremely bitter, but Greeshma had already bought a fruity mango drink to give him immediately, masking the bitterness. By then, however, the poison had already entered his system. Within minutes, Sharon started feeling its effects. He first vomited in Greeshma's bathroom, then panicked and ran outside, where he threw up again on the roadside. His friend waiting outside was shocked to see this. He quickly seated Sharon on the bike and started heading toward home. However, Sharon's condition worsened on the way. He kept asking his friend to stop as he vomited repeatedly. His friend couldn't understand what was happening. When he asked, Sharon mentioned that he had been vomiting ever since drinking the herbal mixture and fruity. His friend thought it was just a reaction and that he would be fine soon. But no one had any idea that even after switching between 3 different hospitals over the next 3 days, his condition would continue to deteriorate. Sharon had never imagined in his worst nightmares that the girl he loved the most would be the one pushing him towards death. What happened next was enough to make anyone's blood boil. As Sharon left Greeshma's house, he received a text message from her. In it, she tried to convince him that vomiting was normal, claiming that even she had thrown up after drinking the herbal mixture. She apologized, saying it was all her fault and that she was very worried. These messages were sent after Sharon had left her house and continued until 12:30 p.m. Exactly 20 minutes later, at 12:50 p.m., Greeshma tried to video call Sharon. However, due to his constant vomiting, he was too exhausted to answer. He messaged her, saying that he had vomited 3 times on the way back, and the color of his vomit was green. She kept blaming herself and apologizing repeatedly, but it wasn't because she was confessing to her crime. It was just a facade to ensure that no one could understand her real conspiracy. On the other hand, Shur still had complete trust in Greeshma. He was comforting her, saying, "There's nothing to worry about. It's not your fault. I will recover soon." However, he had no idea that the person he considered innocent was the real reason behind his impending death. Greeshma's act of pretending to console Shur and mislead him had worked. Shur never suspected that everything was intentionally done by Greeshma. She was so cunning that she successfully diverted Shur's attention from the kashayi, a type of drink, and made him believe that his illness was due to the juice he drank afterward. To make this deception more convincing, she told Sher that she also vomited, but that her vomit wasn't green. This was all a tactic to distract Sher so that he wouldn't take his symptoms seriously, leading to a delay in treatment and putting his life at even greater risk. That evening at 5 p.m., Sher repeatedly asked Greeshma to contact the person who gave him the drink, but despite knowing everything, she refused to provide any information. Instead, she kept asking if Sher had been admitted to the hospital. Sher informed her that he had been admitted to a hospital in Pasala. He spent the entire night vomiting, but Greeshma remained unconcerned. The next day, on October 5, 2022, it was discovered that Greeshma had deleted some messages. That morning, at 9 a.m., an angry Sher told Greeshma that his condition was due to the Kashai challenge she had suggested. However, Greeshma again insisted that the juice was the real reason behind his illness. She apologized once more to ensure that Sher wouldn't become suspicious. Between 2 and 3:30 p.m., Sher messaged Greeshma, informing her that the pain in his throat was so severe that he could barely speak or even take a sip of water. He also wrote that he was feeling extremely sick and could no longer talk or attend calls. 2 days later, on October 17, 2022, in his final messages, Sher told Greeshma that he was receiving treatment at a medical college hospital. Even after that, Greeshma continued sending him messages, but Sher didn't reply. He had become so sick that responding was impossible. By that evening, Sher's condition deteriorated rapidly, and doctors immediately admitted him to the ICU and started dialysis. When his elder brother, Shimono, found out about this, he contacted Rajan, a friend who had accompanied Sher to Greeshma's house that day. Rajan provided Shimono with all the details, after which Shimono informed the medical college police. 2 days later, on the evening of October 20th, 2022, Sher's statement was recorded before a judicial first-class magistrate. Unfortunately, this statement became his dying declaration. He was too weak to speak properly, but in broken words, he revealed that after drinking the kashai and futi that his girlfriend gave him, he started vomiting and experiencing diarrhea. When asked whether he wanted to file a complaint against anyone, Sher refused to name anyone. This statement later played a crucial role as Greeshma's lawyer used it to her advantage. 2 days after giving his statement, on October 22, 2022, Sher's father was allowed to visit him in the ICU. Shortly after the visit, he came out crying, saying that Sher had told him he wouldn't survive. Not only that, but Sher also confessed to his father that his relationship with Greeshma was like that of a husband and wife. They frequently stayed together in hotels and had physical relations multiple times. Sher tried to obtain the prescription for the kashai from Greeshma, but she lied multiple times. She claimed that her mother had washed the bottle, erasing the label, and that the doctor hadn't given any prescription. When Sher asked for a picture of the bottle cap, she lied again, saying the original bottle was with her mother and that she had transferred the medicine to another bottle. Greeshma never wanted Sher to receive timely treatment and did everything she could to conceal the root cause of his illness. Unfortunately, she succeeded, and Sher's liver and kidneys eventually failed. Initially, doctors suspected copper sulfate poisoning and shifted him between different medical departments. However, in the next 62 hours, Sher's condition worsened further. Despite the doctor's best efforts, on the evening of October 25, 2022, at 5 p.m., Sher took his last breath. Those 11 days were nothing short of torture for Sher. He couldn't even drink a single drop of water. The next day, on October 26, 2022, his family gave their statement at the police station, leading to the registration of an FIR, and Sher's body was sent for post-mortem. The biggest challenge for the police was that there were no eyewitnesses to the crime, and all the available evidence was circumstantial. On October 31, 2022, the police summoned Greeshma for questioning. To cover up her crime, she concocted a false story. She told the police that her fiancé had found out about her affair with Sher. She claimed that her fiancé understood that she and Sher deeply loved each other and couldn't be separated, so he decided to step away from the relationship without informing his family. Greeshma further stated that on October 13th, Sher called her to meet, but she kept refusing. Despite this, on October 14th, Sher came to her house and saw the engagement album lying on the bed. He also checked her phone and found call records of conversations with her fiancé, which made him furious, leading him to physically assault her. Greeshma then claimed that while going to the washroom, Sher drank the medicine kept near the bed, which was meant for her mother. She asserted that he drank it on his own and that she didn't poison him. Additionally, in the police station, Greeshma pretended to drink toilet cleaner in an attempt to mislead the authorities. She was immediately taken to the hospital, but the entire act was a lie, and she was soon discharged. However, during their investigation, the police gathered evidence from Greeshma's call records, chats, text messages, and internet search history. When confronted with the evidence, Greeshma could no longer maintain her lies and ultimately confessed to her crime. The story doesn't end here. The police also arrested Greeshma's mother and uncle along with her. Greeshma's mother was arrested because Sharon's father filed a complaint alleging that she was also involved in the conspiracy. He claimed that Greeshma's horoscope predicted the death of her first husband, and to remove this curse, she trapped Sharon in her web and murdered him. Greeshma's uncle, Nirmala Kumar Nair, was arrested on charges of destroying evidence. The trial began in court, and the case was highly challenging because there were no direct witnesses. The police had to prove through circumstantial, scientific, and digital evidence that Greeshma murdered Sharon so she could marry someone else. The police retrieved all of Greeshma's deleted chats and discovered that on October 13th, Greeshma lured Sharon with the promise of a physical relationship and called him to her house the next day. On August 22, 2022, under the pretense of a juice challenge, Greeshma gave Sharon a high dose of paracetamol. This was confirmed through her Chrome search history, where she had searched for articles about toxins on the same day. Sharon's post-mortem report revealed shocking details. A corrosive poison was found in his body, which caused severe damage to his organs. Doctors suspected that he was given herbicide, a deadly chemical used to destroy wild plants and grass. Greeshma's uncle, Nirmala Kumar Nair, was an agricultural expert and lived in the same house where Sharon last met Greeshma. The police investigation found that her uncle had purchased a highly dangerous herbicide that was officially banned. This herbicide was so lethal that it started affecting the kidneys, liver, and lungs within an hour of ingestion. If detected within 24 hours, dialysis could have saved Sharon. Greeshma was aware of how dangerous the chemical was and had researched it online. She also knew that if treatment was delayed, saving Sharon would be impossible. Therefore, she continuously misled Sharon and his brother to delay medical attention, ensuring he wouldn't survive. Imagine the sheer cruelty of this girl. On October 28, 2022, 3 days after Sharon's death, Greeshma feared that the police might retrieve her deleted data. She removed the label from the herbicide bottle and threw it in a rubber plantation, from where her uncle picked it up and hid it in a pineapple plantation. Later, under intense police interrogation, she confessed. The police presented Greeshma and Sharon's chats, along with a mountain of evidence, in court. In her defense, Greeshma fabricated a new story, claiming that Sharon was blackmailing her and threatening to leak her private photos if she didn't marry him. She also alleged that Sharon physically tortured her. Greeshma's defense counsel argued that Sharon never mentioned Greeshma in his dying declaration and that his first FIR did not indicate foul play. However, after a thorough police investigation, Greeshma's phone data and internet search history disproved her story. After being granted bail by the Kerala High Court, Greeshma and her uncle were temporarily released from jail. Greeshma received bail only because she cooperated in the investigation and was young. However, Sharon's family did not give up and continued their legal battle. The Kerala court, after considering statements from 95 witnesses, 323 documents, and 51 material pieces of evidence, found Greeshma guilty. The court concluded that she had a clear motive to kill Sharon, as her marriage had already been arranged and she wanted to get rid of him. The court also stated that the murder was carried out in such a brutal manner that it qualified as a rarest of the rare case. Greeshma pleaded for a reduced sentence, citing that she was only 24 years old and had no prior criminal record. However, the court ruled that she was capable of committing such a crime again and was beyond reform. In the end, the court sentenced Greeshma to death, while her uncle received a 3-year prison sentence. During the investigation, Greeshma admitted that she had attempted to kill Sharon 10 times before. It was also revealed that she had 4 other affairs before Sharon. Many people are satisfied with the verdict, while some believe that Greeshma might appeal to the Supreme Court to escape her sentence. However, this case is not just about gender. It teaches us that relationships and trust must be handled with care. Nowadays, people appear one way on the outside, but are entirely different on the inside. That's why we must make our decisions wisely and thoughtfully.